Boom, 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 everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I hope you're having an amazing Saturday and a great weekend so far. My name is Don Terrell, and I want to welcome you to the final episode of Season 4. We're here every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Time. Again, The Color of Motion, where I like to say, hey, stories come in all shades. And I highlight people of color and diverse backgrounds in the industry of motion graphics, animation, visual effects, cartoons, and comics. You know, this space that, I love so much. And like I said, this is the final episode for Season 4 before we do our last hiatus of the year and move into Season 5. So I cannot thank you enough for, joining me, and look forward to the ones that are joining us as the show goes on. But again, been looking so forward to this and got big things, of course, planned for Season 5 that don't want you to miss out on. But this episode here, I've been looking forward to for a while. And like I said, my next guest was so gracious to kind of close us out for the end of the year. So I cannot thank you enough. You know the drill. Hop into the comments, say, hey, where you're tuning in from, so that I can give you the shout out that you so richly deserve there. I definitely want to make sure that, we are going live like we are supposed to on all the channels. Definitely, let me know where you're catching the show from. Again, like I said, we're here each and every Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, as always. Like I said, but I definitely want you to connect with us on all our social channels. Make sure that you plug yourself into the Facebook group because it's growing, and definitely want to see you as part of the family. Facebook.com/groups/The Color of Motions. Get plugged in. There you're able to connect. We have a lot of great fun, share a lot of industry news and all of that. And definitely the big thing moving forward in 2025, The Color of Motion is going to be I want it to be more really heavy resource intensive and focused for all the creators out there. So I'm putting together a new newsletter, just new assets, and really looking to ratchet up the show. And I'll probably do a little special live stream update on the show during the hiatus, and kind of give you a little prep for Season 5 for sure. Mr. DeWine, appreciate you as always, closing us out there. Good Saturday to you there too. I noticed you updated. Yeah, I did. Like I said, I'm revamping all my channels and everything. Really looking to up-level the YouTube channel, everything. So you guys are going to be seeing a lot more changes. Like I said, I'm going to be sending out a message and a post for people to join, like I said, the newsletter, because I want people to have access to the new information and all the opportunities that I want to start sharing with everybody. Like I said, I want this show and site to start to grow in being a resource for creators. So thank you for that. Definitely appreciate you, as always, DeWine, supporting the show over these years for sure. Can't believe we're going into 5 years doing the show. Also, like I said, we got the Instagram channel. Connect with us there because we're looking to grow that as well. So you can follow us at Instagram at The Color of Motion. Definitely going to be putting up curated content there as well. Like I said, we also, stream out to the LinkedIn platform. You can connect with us there. But I do always encourage everybody to hop on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and get plugged in there because, like I said, there's going to be a lot more content going up there. And there you'll get and if you get subscribed and hit the bell notification, you'll be notified of when the show goes live and new content goes up on the channel. So definitely get plugged in there as well. As always, like I said, the store is open, and that's going through a revamp now as well too. And with Black Friday coming up and the holidays coming up, it's a great time to get some swag. I definitely want to see as many people as possible in the Color of Motion gear. My only request is, if you do pick you up something, shoot a picture of yourself, send it on over to me so that we can share it on the show and share it on the channels as well. So definitely want to spotlight you as well there. So like I said, everything is going through a brand new change for season 5. And like I said, I'm super excited and blessed enough as I am, I'm already booked out for February. So I mean, it's going well. It really is going well. I cannot thank you, the viewers, enough, and definitely my guests and friends that come on to the show. I cannot thank them enough as well. So all that being said, I think we're ready to kind of get this show kicked off. And like I said, I hope you are as excited as I am. But what do you say we get this show on the road, eh? I think I'm on the wrong scene here. Oh, that is why. Let me hop on over here. Yep. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. I am super excited to get this show kicked off. Like I said, I've been super looking forward to sitting down and having a conversation with my next friend and guest ever since we connected. So hopefully this will be a great episode for you as well. My next guest, she is a Nigerian producer and storyteller with almost a decade of experience in 3D animation and has a master's degree in 3D animation and visual effects from the University of Bradford, West Yorkshire. Her animated shorts have achieved international acclaim in festivals such as Silicon Valley African Film Festival, AfroAnimation, which looking to go to next year, Indie Short Film Award, 4.0 Indie Short Film Award, Fame Shorts Film Festival, and she was among 12 artists commissioned by the British Council to interpret the new narratives report and is the founder of Blac Onyx Studios and served as consultant producer for AfroAnimation Studio on the production of their first 3D animated series, Ibile. Please don't hurt me. And she'll correct me for sure. I know. She has also participated in 2023-2024 Durban FilmMart Institute Business Labs. Yes. Everybody, please help me welcome my very, very special guest and friend, Miss Omoyefe Majoroh.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Omoyefe, for coming on. Like I was telling you beforehand, thank you so much for closing out our season 4 year as well. So super looking forward to really diving into, your work, the industry over there in Nigeria and in Africa in general, and just having a fun conversation there.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody is saying hello in there. Everybody, you know how I love these shows, and you know how I want these shows to go. These are interactive shows, so make sure you hop into the comments and give some love. Give everybody some love. It's an interactive conversation here. I always like to start and ask, what was it? Everybody that that I speak with, what was it that kind of sparked that interest in you early on, and at what point and at what age did you kind of really start to fall in love with animation? Because I know for me, I always drew, and I always used to love reading comic books. So I knew at a very early age I loved art and animation and cartoons. Was there any specific thing for you that made you really fall in love with the industry and know that this was what you wanted to do?
Um, I would say my story is really unique because yes, I grew up watching animation, but I never really wanted to be an animator. I just watched it because that was what was on TV. So my first degree I studied computer science, and during the course of my first degree, I found out I could draw, but not. I won't call myself an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So halfway in, I was like, I wish I did something art related. So by the time I finished my first degree, I was tempted to go back to school to study architecture. And then my mom, average African mother, was like, how can you, after spending all those years in school, you want to go back to, why don't you find something else? you know, so, and then that was how I started checking, okay, what can I do that will help me mix my computer science with something artistic? And that's how I found computer animation. I was like, okay,
Okay.
let me just try it. So I applied for the admission for a master's degree. I got in, and to be honest, I didn't know what to expect. It's not like I planned it. I
Yeah.
just wanted to try it out. So
Yeah.
after school, I fell in love with it, and I keep every day I wake up, I keep falling in love with it, and I'm like, I don't think I would have done. I would want to be doing any other thing aside animation right now. So it
Yeah.
was animation to me. It wasn't planned. I just stumbled on it, and
Yeah.
I found out it was actually what I really wanted to do. Yeah.
So at the time you were getting your computer science degree, what was
Yeah.
your thinking of what you were going to do before you stumbled upon this 3D? What was your thinking of, I'm getting this degree to do X?
Yeah, to do tech, to do
Oh, okay.
IT, because I even
IT tech type.
during in school, yes, IT tech exactly, because I wasn't good in programming. I didn't like programming, so I'd already made up my mind. Okay, I'll do maybe networking, hardware, but then I really wanted something unique
Mm-hmm.
because IT tech, it's so, and I also wanted to add something artistic to the computer science, so going into computer science was okay. Tech at the end of the day, maybe be an IT person or work in a tech company.
Yeah.
But by the time I finished, I wanted something more. Yeah,
Well, you said, which I guess is every parent's kind of thing. They want to steer their child into
yeah,
something a little more stable.
exactly.
Was it?
Yeah,
I mean, but obviously, your parents and your mother, kind of knew you wanted to kind of go down this path. At some point, at what point did they finally, just say, okay, we can see where this is going, or do they still have the kind of thought that this industry, because I know the industry is not quite as big or as put together and
yeah.
structured there in Africa as it is here in the United States. So did she still feel, and at what point did she kind of think, okay, well, the industry is changing there in Africa, and the opportunities are starting to grow?
Yeah. I think it's something that is currently happening right now because at some point after my master's degree, I tried to get a job in animation and I couldn't. And I found myself in a financial services company,
Yeah,
one of the big fours, working as an auditor. But I still wasn't fulfilled, and I was earning well there, but then it didn't make sense to them saying, okay, I want to resign to
yeah,
go back to animation. So every single time, I think I'm happy that I have with the kind of family I have. They've always been very supportive. When I come, I'm like, oh, I have this great idea. They're like, again, okay, let's hear it. you know So now they're like, okay, your film has gone to this festival. Oh, cool. What next? Is there money involved? Is there? So
Yeah,
it's now in the process where, okay, I can now start showing them the fruit, even though it's not as big as we would expect.
yeah,
But now they are seeing progress, and which is funny that it's almost 10 years after. So I must say they've been very patient with me actually. So
yeah,
so yes,
yeah,
it's definitely beginning to add up to them, because initially it just didn't make any sense. Like even at some point, I have a family friend who told me, was like, passion does not pay the bills. You need to go and get a job.
yeah. That
you
that
know,
saying translates over
if
here too. Fashion don't pay the bills.
exactly, it's like if everybody would say they want to follow their passion, then nobody will be earning anything. So you need to, but now he's one of those that are cheering me on. Oh, well done, congrats! I'm so proud of you. So
Yeah,
it's been a journey, but
and I think,
yeah,
and this is kind of like a side note but it's just the mentality of those. It's those 1 to 3% that actually achieve the thing that they're trying to do, but they know they have to go past all the failures, the negativities, the just,
exactly.
stuff that people are naturally going to say that aren't willing to take that step themselves to
Yeah,
see this dream or whatever dream it is you have in your head in reality. So it takes a lot of people kind of don't get it, but the ones that pursue through it, they understand it. It takes a different kind of
yeah,
person,
exactly.
to see the things that you want and to see them in make come to reality in a sense, and knowing that
Yeah,
not everybody, especially your family, most of the time is going to get and see what you're doing, what you see.
yeah, yeah.
And it's
True.
funny. I can't remember who said it. Might have been Steve Harvey. It might have been somebody else. But what the saying is, everybody doesn't see your dream. You're the only one that sees
Yeah.
your vision.
Who says
You
it?
know, everybody's got their own vision, and God gives each one their
Yeah,
own vision. And nobody can understand your vision but yourself. Now,
more than you. Exactly.
getting other people on board is a different thing, and passionate about your vision. Are you seeing now? Are you seeing kind of a shift just in how people view animation now over in Africa, specifically maybe Nigeria, with the success of Iwaju, Kizazi Moto, and some of the other animations and stories that are now starting to be told? How has that kind of shifted the mindset of other creators now in Africa, seeing those stories start to be told?
Yeah, it's made a lot of difference, not just for us as creatives, but even the African audience too, seeing that animation can stories told about us and done well with the right research,
Yeah,
relatable stories too. So for us as creatives, it's pushing us to also know that it's possible, no matter how much resources you have or how limited your resources are, you can actually do that. I think where the work is going to now is actually making the people believe we can actually do those
yeah.
animations, because even here in Nigeria, some Nigerians don't know that Nigerians actually animate.
Really? Wow.
So
Okay. Interesting.
yeah, because for example, Irakwata, the short film we did, we
Yeah.
screened it in Lagos here in September, and it was a collection of short films, and Irapada was the only animated film there, and there were like Nollywood people from the
Yeah.
Nigerian live action industry there, and
Yeah.
they were not expecting an animated film. And I
Wow.
think it was like the third or the fourth one. So the way it starts with the sci-fi
Yeah.
HUD, you could get their expression like, "Oh wow, what are we watching?" And afterwards, they were
Yeah.
like, afterwards they're like, oh, they never knew such quality could be done in Nigeria. So I
Yeah.
think that's also something we're trying to push here too, that there are actually animators here in Nigeria who are
Yeah.
also, you know,
Yeah.
up to
And
the
we're going to
task.
take a look at her short that she's entered, award winning short, in a little bit. But I do kind of hear that from a lot of my African friends that come on the show, that that's kind of the misconception, at least and I'd like to hear what your thoughts of is biggest misconception that you kind of feel that you know about the industry there over in Africa. Is that, like I said, that the quality's not great or the stories aren't going to hold up and stuff like that? They feel like that's a big misconception that people outside of the continent, you know, kind of feel that it's going to be limited. It's going to be really low quality. The stories aren't really going to be great, but we're starting to see that. Do you feel like there are other misconceptions that you've seen about just countries outside, like the U.S., the industry over here in the U.S., over in other countries, about Africa as a whole in the industry, in their place within the industry?
Yeah, I think it's still, even though here in Nigeria, I guess we agree that we can't compare ourselves with Hollywood.
Yeah,
Obviously, we are like babies still coming up.
yeah,
But I think another misconception, because we've been to Annecy and we've had a lot of people approach us and they're like, oh, so you could do animation in Africa. So they still do not know that we do animation. Yes, we're not a lot, but yeah, there are actually studios who do the work and get the right quality.
yeah.
So it's still a sensitization thing where people outside need to know that yes, there are studios in Nigeria. We may not have as much budget, but we most times work with what we have and we get the job done. But,
I will say that, like I said, you work with what you got, and I think over here we
yeah.
take things for granted that are just kind of stuff that we don't necessarily think about. Like I didn't really think about it until I started really talking with a lot of my African friends. There's an issue with power. Sometimes during the show, the
Yeah,
power would go off. So it's
it
this
goes
whole
out. Yeah.
infrastructure of the things you have to go through that we over here don't necessarily think about so much. So that's why I have so much more respect for the thing, the content that's coming out there because of the resources that you work with. You just work with what you got, and you still produce, great stories and stuff like that. And I think as the industry matures there, um, and other things start to come, into play to really support the industry, I think it's really going to be a booming industry over there with just the quality and the stories and the creators that are starting to come up. What do you feel like are some of the other things that Nigeria and Africa as a content needs to kind of put into place to kind of really uplift the industry or really start to grow the industry there?
Okay. I would say two things: the talents and then the stories. Because I feel talent in the sense that we need more people in the industry. We need like people of different levels, juniors, mid, seniors, and
Yeah,
specialists, because we have a lot of generalists.
yeah,
So we end up not getting as much quality as we would want, as opposed to if we had like specialists in these
specialist.
categories.
Yeah,
Then also for the storytelling, I think we've watched a lot of Western stories that has sort of influenced our storytelling
yeah,
abilities or our storytelling. Yeah, in the sense that yes, it's good to learn from them, but then we've sort of forgotten what makes us Africans. So when you watch a story or an animated film by a Nigerian or an African, you can't really tell. You think it's a Western or
yeah,
and not necessarily Asian, because of what we've fed ourselves, like what we're used to watching,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
So I would say we need to really go. Yes, we're good storytellers. The average African, it's a very good storyteller from folk tales and all that. But then we need to really study our culture, because recently there's a story I'm working on right now that I had to go deep. We don't also have a lot online of resources, but
yeah,
then, for some weird reasons, or fortunately for me, I found some resources that when I was reading these things, I was like, oh, wow, so this is actually happening in my state, in Delta State in Nigeria, the southern part of Nigeria. And it blew my mind. I was like, what? This. it's something that you tell someone and the person will like, oh no, it's not real. But this is our own mythology.
Yeah.
So imagine putting that into your story. It's definitely going to stand out as an African story, just the same way we have Asian stories. You can see the culture, and it's also something that we teach other people, because there's a whole lot of narrative out there about us as Africans. So we have to do the work with our storytelling to sort of shape the narrative of how we want people to see us.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely, and that's why, yeah, I always encourage people, and I love it too, and I think it's a big thing to travel to really experience
Yeah,
another culture and really experience it. Obviously, if you don't, you kind of tend to shape your perception of what that country is by what you see on media and stuff like that, and depending on who's
exactly.
telling the media, it could be skewed. Cause I know that was one of my guests
Yeah.
was saying. Could I ask them that question? I said, "What do you think the biggest misconception we have about the continent, Africa?" He said, we don't all live in the jungle. It's like we don't run around with lions and tigers and all that kind of stuff. And so we do have metropolitan city. So it's just like I said, this narrative of the ability to tell your own stories. I mean, we struggle with it over here in this country as well, and that's what we're working on as far as diversity for over here, the
Yeah.
ability to tell our own narratives about our own lives and our own stories and things like that. I also noticed, do you feel like this is another thing that I think um, Africa as a whole needs to work on, is just more educational systems or university? Because it seems like most of the creators go outside of the country to get degrees, whether it's France or Britain or something. Like you got your degree in Yorkshire, outside. Do you think that's another thing that needs to be worked on, is having uh, universities and educational systems there that are teaching with, like you said, skilled professional animations in different areas, teaching kids and other people there? I
Yeah,
mean, we
that
do
is
have
also
online
something.
schools. Obviously, with
Yeah,
internet, you have the ability to go online, but it takes a different kind of person to kind of self pace themselves. Some people need the
exactly.
structure
Yeah.
of having a teacher.
Yeah. So most of the creatives in the Nigerian animation industry are self-taught, like you just said, online tutorials. Then we have some animation studios who run trainings for people, like maybe short courses, 3 months, 6 months. But we're also seeing a few universities who are sort of bringing in animation or
Hmm.
gaming into their curriculum, but as electives.
Yeah,
So we're really looking forward to when we would have like a proper department in schools and universities where people actually go in to study animation, because that will really go a long way. There's nothing like learning in the four walls of a university, coming out with that degree and then
yeah,
getting work. So it's something we're pushing, sensitizing through. We have an NGO called Animation Nigeria that is also doing that. And yeah, so
yeah, yeah. No, for sure. Miss Maggie, appreciate you stopping by there. Hello, hello. Mr. Dewan says hello, Omoyefe. Um,
hi.
also, uh, I mean, do you think that outside of educational system, is it been a hard thing to kind of find that community of just other people that were interested in the same things as you are along the way, and kind of what's been um, the best kind of piece of advice that's kind of helped you on this journey through production, producer, learning, what's kind of helped you kind of keep yourself on course?
I would say community. We have, like I said, an Animation Nigeria community where everybody that works in animation is a part of. We also have a WhatsApp group where people share, get feedback, and all that. But then going down to the smaller units, I have like a group of friends who are colleagues turned friends. Who, animation is such a long journey. It's a
Yeah.
marathon where you are not always hyped every day about your passion, and then you start thinking, I shouldn't have done this. Like sometimes you just want to lament and pour out your frustration. And then we sit down, we talk, and we're like, God, why did we pick this profession of all things? So
Oh man.
there are days like that,
Yeah,
you know.
man.
But then we meet, we talk, we get re-energized, we talk about our ideas, we try to, check our visions again to be sure that we're still on the right track, and
Yeah.
then we go back. So it's in and out, but
Yeah.
it's just a very fulfilling journey. We have mentors too. I have like two mentors that I speak with, both
Mm.
in animation and also personal. So it helps to actually talk to find your community, no matter how big or small.
Yeah.
And now we also have Afro Women in Animation, an initiative of a studio here in Nigeria called Basement Animation for the women who are in animation. But we've also seen that women sometimes do not want to get in because they feel like, oh, animation is a male dominated industry, or
Yeah.
I have to be an artist to be in animation. So we've also created a community where we can introduce them to the different roles in animation. You
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to be an animator to be in
Well,
animation.
when you first started that, were you surprised at the number of women that did show up and show that they were interested in it, or were you not surprised that there were women that just they were interested in it but didn't have an outlet or something to go to?
Yeah, I was actually surprised because going back to, let's say, like 5 6 years, I had a lady who came up to me. She wanted to organize like an online, like a 3-day workshop for young women coming into, to teach them different skills. And she wanted me to teach them animation. I was like, 3 days won't animation, there's no way. Okay, let me take let me teach them graphics using Canva. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. So she had other classes, Microsoft Office, cake making,
Yeah.
parfait making. And then I logged into my class, and behold, nobody showed up. No woman showed up in my class.
Wow.
And she came in and she was like, please, Ife, all of them have gone to parfait making and bead making. And that was the moment, it was like a turning point for me because I
Yeah.
felt you won't blame them because they don't see women in this field. So
Yeah.
obviously it's not. Yeah, so that was something that also pushed me to bring myself out there because I'm a very shy person. I like to be behind the camera. But I was like, if these people don't see me, then they'll keep thinking that there are no women in the industry. Then now fast forward to this year when we had the first launch of the Afro Women, I could see women who were not just interested, but they were already doing things by themselves, and they
Yeah.
just needed a support or someone else to speak to. So it's, I can say it's the growth has been really good. Like I was really surprised, and you keep seeing them every day. So it's no more a case of you are going into the room and you are one or two women. No, you are seeing almost like 70-30%, which is an improvement.
Yeah, no, and that's all it takes. And like I said, that's the basis of why I started the show. Just the opportunity of seeing somebody that's you know
Yeah,
is doing what you may be interested in doing goes a very long way. Most people don't know that or don't think about it, but it makes a big impression, especially when you're a person of color that don't see that all the time, and you're seeing
yeah,
something
true.
totally different. It makes it's a heavy impression there for you. And like I said, we're getting ready to for everybody just jumping in. We've been having a great conversation so far with my friend Omoyefe, producer and storyteller, and we're getting ready to take a look at her award-winning animated short in a minute. But what outside of what we're getting ready to watch, what are the kind of stories that you're wanting to tell? Obviously, this one's kind of a sci-fi little animated short, but are there other stories? I mean, what are the stories that, like I said, you're really looking and trying to get out there?
Okay, for me, the kind of stories I like telling are stories that are inspired by real life events. It can be as simple as I'm on the street and I see two friends having a really nice conversation, something really relatable. But then it's not specific to any particular genre. It depends on what fits the story at the time.
Hmm.
But it's always based off of, okay, this is something I experienced either personally or I witnessed, and then I draw inspiration from that. It sort of helped me keep the stories grounded, so it's not like I'm just, you know, coming up with stuff, even though
Yeah,
most times it's fictional, but it's grounded based on, yeah. So
in reality.
most times, yes, based on reality, based on human stories where people would have to, you know, themes like respect, humanity, love, friendship, family, yeah,
Yeah.
relatable themes.
Yeah, and
Depends on if we,
those are the cores of. It doesn't matter the genre; those are the core elements of
exactly,
every story. So it could be 2D, 3D,
yeah,
live action, stop motion. It's the core of the story
exactly,
that makes it what it is, and it's just the median is just like another layer on top of that story type of thing.
exactly.
Let's take a quick look, and then I want to dive back into some other questions that I had for you on this. But let's take a
Okay.
quick look. We jump over here at her animated short. Looks so amazing, for sure. I
Thank
really
you.
want to know
Thank
what
you.
was first. Tell us a little. You don't have to give everything away, but kind of tell us a little background or Iripada and kind of how it kind of came to being and what the story is kind of about.
Okay, so the Irakpala was done by myself and two of my friends, Michael and Joel, co-directors. We really wanted to do a film to remind us as humans how to respect each other, see each other as humans, because then there was conversation of AI coming to take over the world, and also we're having, I think we just finished the Nigerian election here in Nigeria, and there were some tribal quarrels, this tribe versus this tribe, so we found out that people were beginning to forget that we are all humans, but yet we were so concentrated on AI robots coming to take over. Meanwhile, we were already doing the damage by ourselves. So we wanted to tell a story showing how a robot would sort of bring us back to reality, playing on the fear of, instead of robots coming to take over, the robots being the one to remind us that we need to
Yeah.
be careful as humans or else, So it's actually a short film about a robot called Adebite, Ade from Yoruba meaning crown, and then bite, computer term, So it's a post-apocalyptic world. Humans, everybody has been wiped off, and he's a lone robot. He's been destroyed, so he's on a journey to fix himself. So he stumbles into a garage, and for every tool he finds to fix himself, he sees how humans have turned that tool into a weapon.
Mm,
So it's sort of like an evolution from Stone Age to nuclear weapons.
yeah.
So this sort of overwhelms him, and then we see through his eyes. For a robot to actually have such emotions that we are currently now lacking. So it overwhelms him. He passes out, but when he wakes up, he sees something that is a beacon of hope for him, which is like a plant. so he guards that because that's like the only source of life in the whole planet, and then he decides to take care of it and cultivate it. So it also reminds us too of how to take care of our environment, and so it's a story that just reminds us of who we are and who um how to treat ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's such an amazing short. I would like to know how long, because you said it was you and a couple of other of your other friends, and
Yeah.
we know how long animation and animation project takes. How long did that project take you put it together? And two, were you just kind of like the producer of it, or were you actually like hands on doing some of the animating and things like that as well?
Okay, so it took us roughly 3 months from scripting down
Yeah,
to final production because we knew we were going to send it out to festivals. So we started in November and the festival submission date was in February. So we had a very tight
yeah.
timeline. And yeah, so the thing with animation back here is it's not funded, it's self-funded, so you have to double triple. If you had watched the full film, you'll see our names in different places. So the two directors also animated, also did lighting. Me, I animated too.
Everybody wore a bunch
I
of
did.
hats.
Everybody had to chip in exactly. So we also got two additional because the two directors, like I said, are my very close friends. They are also animators, Joel
Yeah,
and Michael. But then we needed a storyboard, so we got another friend of ours who came on board. So we got three additional people.
yeah.
So in total, we were six who worked on it, and it was such an amazing thing to see how far it traveled in festivals. It was just
Yeah,
something. Oh, let's try, and
yeah.
then came back with an award, with two awards actually, and it's still something that
Amazing, amazing. And
will. Yeah, yeah,
again, I don't know, and we kind of touched on it a little bit as far as like just, especially on those long projects, keeping yourself motivated and kind of on track with things, especially if
yeah,
everybody's kind of giving up their time. They're not getting paid, or they don't see the,
yeah.
they just have a passion for the project, so they're willing to work, type of thing. Um, is that another thing that really kind of endears you to this industry? Is you meet these people that, if they love the project and you build a relationship with them, you're able to forge this bond to where you can create something together, even though you may not see the immediate results or fruits of it or getting paid from it, but it's just something that you work to get on. Most people don't understand. It's very hard to get other people on board a dream that you've got and that you're trying to do, or you got a vision for. It takes a very special person to really inspire other people to come on board outside of getting paid, outside of getting
Yeah,
paid
true.
to do the work that they're doing, on it. Is that another thing, kind of another skill that you kind of had to learn along the way of just building these, really solid relationships with other creators on these?
Yeah, I would say yes, because when I started out making short films by myself, write everything, like, and send to festivals, just trying to see. That was like my exploration period of, okay, what kind of stories do I want to tell and all that. But then with time, I started forming friendship, based on the first place I worked for, like a studio I worked for like 6 years. That's
Yeah,
where I met Michael and Joel. I met him like 2 months before. So another thing with having a small community or a group of friends is you have to have like minds. So they too are people who love to come up with projects. Sometimes today it might be Michael, oh, I have this project, we all jump on board. Tomorrow it might be Joel.
yeah,
So we are used to we've worked with other people, but then you would know certain people that you click more with. So coming up with an idea, we just, oh, okay, how do we do it? How do we fund it? Or what do we have within ourselves that we can do, and who are those we need that we can, talk to. So that's also where relationship comes on board too. Irapada was done, three of us, but we needed three other people to come on board, and we had to talk to them. Or we didn't pay them. It was more like, okay, data money, or just so someone even said, pay, get me pizza, as simple as that. But,
And say, I'd be
but
happy with pizza.
yeah,
Just give me some pizza and we're
yeah,
good.
exactly. And we're good. But the good thing is,
Oh, hopefully she didn't. Hopefully we didn't lose her here. And this was, I had
I
talked. We okay, good. Oh, thank you. You
can
back.
hear.
I was just getting ready to say we just talked about this before the show. Hopefully we can get through this without it freezing or anything like that. And here it goes. But you were saying though, um, just bringing people on
The people
board
who came
that
on board, yes, yeah, exactly. And so it was really cool. Or what was our most accomplished moment was when we won the award, and then we reached out to these people and like, oh wow, we won. Also, so next time we're hoping we won't reach out to them with just pizza.
yeah,
Okay, we have some funds too.
definitely
Exactly.
the
So it's really
awards.
about
Yeah,
friendship.
it just
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
awards,
It's
solidified. Hey, if we're get into this and
exactly.
really come on board, who knows? We'll get funding, and next time we will have a budget to work with, and this and that.
Exactly.
Um, but I guess that's a one major thing that I guess I've discovered in this community and the friends I made. It's a very as big as the industry is, it's a small community where people know each other
Yeah,
and are working on each other's
exactly.
projects or helping each other or recommending them to this studio because they went to school with them or something like that. It's very small. It's all about
Yeah,
relationships and really
yeah,
having good relationships with people to really find opportunities here and there. Was that
yeah.
something when you connected with them at the job, your other two friends at the company that you worked with? Was that something that they thought about as far as just the challenges that they were going through with the industry there within Nigeria? Before y'all came together, were those conversations that they were having that you found yourself having before y'all all kind of collectively came together?
Yeah, I think when we were working there, we just had the mindset that okay, this is our last bus stop, if I would say in Nigeria, like we're okay here as employees, let's just work on. But then things happened, and then dreams became bigger, that we had to now, find other things. So along the way, we now knew that okay, it has to be more than you. I think it's even something I started realizing maybe like 2, 3 years ago, that animation should be more collaborative than just one person. Because looking back at how far this Irapada as a case study has traveled compared to all my other short films, Irapada has gone to more festivals than others
Yeah,
have done by myself. So it still just put that spotlight on the fact that relationship, collaborative efforts still trumps any other
yeah,
lone man. Yes, you can have your, but that saying of if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go
yeah,
together. That
yeah,
whole, yeah. So, and
definitely.
it's a long journey. You don't want to be alone on it. So it's interesting when you have people to rub off, energy, ideas.
Yeah,
You lament together. You bring yourselves out of your lamentation, and then yeah. So it's
yeah.
it's
And
relationship
those
is
and
really
those
key.
relationships are very key on, like I said, those
Yeah,
long projects, especially the. And it was
yeah,
funny, like I said, most people don't really get the time it takes, especially in animation. Now, filming, you
mhm,
can kind of get an
yeah,
idea how long it took them to film it. But some of these animations, I was watching, I highly tell people to watch that. I made a link. Uh, I put the link of the docu series for Arcane on the episode I did last week. But it was very interesting watching the behind the scenes of the whole production of it, and that was a 6 year. That was a
wow,
long production, and he talked about just keeping everybody motivated. Like I said, you may be working on a small bit or this and that, and over the long period of time, things come up, things happen, stuff like that. So it's very hard to keep
yeah,
people or it's very challenging to keep people energized, passionate, motivated on a project, and especially like I said, especially on those projects where they're not getting paid. It's hard enough as
Yeah,
it is on a job where you're getting
exactly.
paid a salary, but it's even more difficult on a project that you or a couple other friends are putting together, and you have to bring other people on, but you don't have the budget to pay them, but you got to keep them excited and motivated about the project enough for them to give of their talent and their time. So
Yeah,
it's a very hard thing to
yeah,
do, for sure. But it definitely, like I said, when you win awards and you start to see the fruits of your labor, that's what keeps you
exactly.
motivated to
Feeling.
go to the next thing that you're doing, for sure. Again, everybody just jumping in. Mr. Dewan, let's throw this up here. This clip of the robot looked incredible. Omoyefe, how challenging was it to create the character model and get everything to render with as much detail? And I do want to ask you, what software did you use? What kind of equipment did you use? I was, like I said, I don't think we take it for granted. I think we take it for granted over here. We just have access to a lot of stuff that for you over there, may be a difficult thing to kind of get, and acquire. So, what software did you use, and what kind of, you know, elements did you use to bring Irapata together?
Okay. So to start with the character, we really wanted the a robot to look homemade, like using simple materials, nothing too fancy or too, so
Mm-hmm.
if you notice, had pipes, wooden head, then those three marks on his face is actually tribal marks, the Yoruba tribal marks.
Yeah.
So we had a reference we saw online, and then we modified it to fit the robot. So we got Kelechi John, who modeled the character, and then luckily for us, Michael, who is the director, has accent suits. So we also got Adeoye, who is a storyboard artist. He did the
Mm.
storyboard. I wrote the script. So when Adeoye finished with the storyboard, Michael recorded all the motions with his accents,
Oh
mocap
wow.
suits.
Okay.
So yes, then we split the files. So Michael cleaned half, I cleaned the other half using Maya. And when we were done with that, we moved it to. So as much as possible, we try to avoid facial, so if you notice, the robot doesn't have a
Yeah.
mouth, it was just mostly eyes,
Yeah.
exactly. Then we moved the character, the animation, to Unreal Engine, where we rendered. But the most challenging part was migrating from Maya to Unreal. I don't know why, but some
Really.
of the files were not going in, like alembics. There's I don't know. I will make a joke about Unreal Engine and Maya, saying I'm sure they were in a relationship before, and Maya broke Unreal Engine's heart
They say
because
that's why they don't want to
because for some
interact
weird
with each other.
because for some weird reason, some files don't just go directly into Unreal Engine. Maybe you have to take it into Max and then now export it from Max to Unreal. And it doesn't make any sense. You're not doing anything. You're just, So,
Oh
so we
man.
took it to Unreal Engine. And initially, Joel, who is the co-director, is also he did the lighting. Wanted to use Lumen to render in Unreal.
Yeah.
Lumen, when we calculated, it was going to take about roughly two days. But we went to his house, he set up the scene, and then he was like, guys, I want to show you something. So he switched to Path Tracer, another rendering in Unreal. And then the difference was really clear, like between Lumen and Path Tracer. Path Tracer was spot on quality. I was like,
Mm.
okay, let's go for Path Tracer. Okay, worst case, if it's too long, maybe 1 week. No, it took us about 3 weeks to render. and
Oh
and
man.
and funny enough, with Lumen, we were thinking, okay, one person would render, which would be Michael, the director. So he packed all the files.
Yeah.
The shots were broken down in different shots, shot 1A, B, blah blah blah. And then after 2 days, Michael, how far? Oh, I'm still in shot 1A. Ha, 3 days, shot 1B. I was like, ha. So we had to meet.
Yeah.
we had to meet again and now split the files across three of our systems. So all three of us had to render, and it took us 3 weeks to. But
Wow.
the quality says it all, and we're like,
Wow,
we're
wow.
good
And
with it,
then, like I said,
and it was
I'm not sure
perfect.
what system, obviously, you're running on. I'm pretty sure it probably wasn't the most powerful of systems. That obviously makes a big difference. I guess, the fact that you are, we're kind of on a budget doing this or what, the option of maybe online render and farm to render it out, or at least the
Yeah,
render drafts might have been a option as well. But I
yes.
do know, like I said, I haven't really dove into Unreal as much as I would like to right now. I'm kind of going through Blender. That's why I haven't dedicated, time to Unreal.
Okay.
But I know it's an amazing software, for sure. And
Yeah.
definitely, like I said, I have it on my computer. I just haven't really dove into it. But just a side note, our first guest next season is a motion graphic artist and Unreal artist. So he's going to come in and talk about a lot
Oh,
about Unreal, and what he's doing
okay.
with Unreal. But I do know it's an amazing piece of software that obviously gives you real time renders and makes it really easy to kind of
Yeah.
proof things and look at things in a much speedier involvement. But that being said, I have worked on animations, and I guess that's why I haven't really dove into a long animation where, okay, this scene, this frame here is taking like 3 or 4 minutes to render. You got like thousands of frames. It's just gonna be you're
Exactly.
waiting, and again,
Yeah.
if you ain't got a powerful enough system, your system is just smoking, crying because it's just
Mm.
churning through all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
it is a challenge for sure. But going back to, I guess my other question was, um, so is being a producer and a storyteller, are you more comfortable and doing like visual effects and stuff like that? Is 3D where you kind of would love to play at, or do you like 2D, or does it really just depend on the story? Because, like I said, we were talking about Arcane, and that's a great blended style of 2D and 3D, and now you're starting to see this mesh of 2D animations of just different kind of styles, and as creators play around with other tools and toys, like Unreal and this and that, you're going to see a lot of other styles. So, is that a thing that you would hope to kind of explore, just the different styles, just married to a good story? Or are you wanting to stay in the 3D lane and just tell stories through 3D? Because there are people that, you know, they may be animators, but they love like they're kind of their forte is a certain style, and they like playing in that kind of sandbox, like children's, more adult stories, more different kind of sci-fi, more real stories. There's different kind of things. Is that the kind of space that you're hoping to kind of stay in, or are you looking to kind of explore into other spaces?
Yeah, I love 3D. I think I would stay there for some time. If at all, I would dabble into 2Ds, maybe to have like a pentally feel, depending on the look
Yeah,
and
yeah,
feel
yeah,
of the 3D. Yes, but more 3D adult adult
yeah.
stories. I've never really been a kids person, so kids story
Start, yeah, kid
person.
style
So
animation.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. For now, 3D, maybe try to explore how I can make it painterly.
yeah,
If depending on what the story wants or what suits the story for
yeah.
now. But
Well, then you
never
would
can tell what the
definitely
future
love,
holds.
if you haven't seen Arcane yet, you would definitely love Arcane because it's got that kind of painterly
Yeah.
feel to
Yeah,
it, and
exactly. Yes.
it's
Yeah.
3D.
It's really cool.
Um, we talked, and you kind of mentioned this a little before, and kind of the whole theme of Iripata is AI. What's your kind of thought? I mean, is that a kind of a statement on AI that you feel like it's kind of taking people are taking it the wrong way, or what's your feeling on AI and its place in the industry, and especially as it pertains to what you do?
Yeah, personally, I say AI is a tool. best used in the hands of the artist. So it's to aid the artist, not necessarily to take over the artist's job. So if you see, there are different tools for AI, yes, but then when you see it, an artist use AI, the artist will use it better than just someone who is experimenting, who doesn't have an art background, or
Yeah.
so for example, now as an animator, if I take a tool like Cascader, for example, I'm bringing in my animation background and I'll use that tool better than someone who has no knowledge of animation. So I see AI, as long as it's not exploiting anybody's work, as long as it's just a tool that will help fasten the process
Yeah.
time, it's something I would say, yeah, it
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah, well,
It's just a tool.
your feeling about AI is spot on. How I feel about AI, it's a tool, just like this
Yeah.
computer's a tool, just like this pen is a tool that's meant to be used. And I always say, obviously, like any tool, there are going to be some people that use a tool the wrong way or not as it was
Exactly.
intended to be used. And that's just the
Yeah.
nature. That's just human nature. I mean, it has nothing to
Yeah.
do with the tool. It's just human
Yeah.
nature. There are always going to be people that use something the wrong way, or not how it was intended to be used. But I'm like you. I'm excited about what true creators will create with AI.
Yeah.
And I don't think, again, I don't. I know AI just won't take the place of human. As much as we try to get AI to that point, we're trying so hard for
Still
AI to
can't.
take the place of us. So like, I don't know, what is humanity thinking? They're trying to create AI so that it replaces us. So, but I don't think it's ever going to it's never going to
Yeah.
take the place of humanity and the human
Yeah.
experience.
True.
That's just, you can't. I don't care how much
Yeah.
programming you put into it, how much it learns. It's just never going to do that. I,
So
that's my
true.
belief. Now, some people may disagree with me, obviously, but
Mhm.
that's my belief. It's just you never will. I mean,
Yeah.
uh,
I
but I
totally
think
agree.
it's a great tool that takes tedious tasks and makes them simpler,
Yeah.
really quick and easy, or ideate really quickly
Yeah.
and get ideas. But then AI is
Really
not
work
going to
on it.
teach you the principles of animation. AI is not going to teach you the principles of storytelling. AI is not going to teach you what good design looks like. It's just going to spit out what you put into it. And if you don't know that, AI is not going to come back with anything and try and teach you that. So
Yeah.
that's just my feeling about AI. But I am, like I
Yeah.
said, excited, and I love seeing how some people are using AI in different ways and using it to help tell their stories in a better, quicker,
Stories.
faster way. So, you know, what can I say? For anybody just joining in, again, we're having a great conversation with my friend Omoyefe Majoroh. And like I told her, time goes by quick. We're already an hour into this. But again, I try and be mindful of really, like I said, my guests' time and everything with a big, massive time difference. But we have been having that fun conversation. But moving, for you, what do you kind of tell as you're starting to, like I said, share your skills, your knowledge with other creators of color and younger creators coming in? What's the one thing that you're sharing with them that you feel that they should know? That one thing. Obviously, there's a lot of things that they want to know or can know, but what's the one thing that you get across to them when you're talking to them about the industry?
That's a tricky one because so many things are coming to my head right now. So I'm trying to see which particular one to pick. Um, I would say not really more of them as an artist, but more of them as people,
Mm-hmm.
like their work ethics. I think that's something people underestimate a lot. They feel like, oh, I'm talented, maybe a good artist that can animate, and that's all. But it's way more than that. Talent without good personality is
Yeah.
I don't yeah
You're not going, trust
so
me, you're not going far.
exactly, so I try as much as possible to let them know that they have to, every job or every project they find themselves, every opportunity they have to make sure they don't take advantage of it. They have to actually put in the work. Aside the work, you have to show up, you have to communicate properly to, because there are a lot of cases where people will set meetings and not show up and give excuses,
Yeah,
or it's time to deliver, you are nowhere to be found, and you are going to be late, but yet you don't communicate that. You wait till after the deadline, and
yeah,
then I reach out to you, then you tell me, give me excuses. So things like that, you are not definitely going to get a second chance. So you need to work on yourself as a person, because most times people come back because of how you make them feel during the project, like the experience they have with you.
yeah,
Aside, yes, okay, you did the job right, but then how did this person make me feel? Was I really on edge? Was I always, looking for you? Or, was it hectic working with you?
yeah,
So people tend to overlook that, okay, this person is not so talented, but yet the person is, has a very good personality. Because like we always say, animation is like marriage. You want to work with someone you like. If you don't have a great personality, you don't communicate, especially if you don't have the right work ethics, then it's can only, because experience you get by doing, but if you don't have the chance to do, then
yeah,
you
yeah.
be
No,
stuck.
that is, of course, a great piece of nugget. There's so much to unpack. I had to drop a bomb on that because there was just so much in there to unpack for sure. And I think, again, professionalism and how really move through the industry, like I said, says a lot. Because trust me, like I just said, the industry is really small. And if you're
Yeah,
tagged with a bad personality, I don't care how great a person,
exactly.
artist, animator, whatever it is, studio's not gonna hire you or not gonna want to work with you because their first thing is, do you fit into the culture of working with
Exactly.
people? And if you can't, I don't care how good you are. You can't work well with others. You're not gonna last long in this industry. So having a great personality goes a long way. And I mean authentic personality. I don't mean
Mm-hmm.
sucking. Obviously, stand and be
Yeah.
strong on your opinion of if you disagree with something or disagree with that. Standing your opinion
Yeah.
on your opinion. Obviously having a great personality doesn't mean you just go along with anything and just let people treat you any kind of way. But you have to be, uh, like I said, straightforward and say what you mean and mean what you say, type of thing.
Exactly.
Because your reputation, trust me, follows
Yeah.
you.
Everywhere.
Everywhere you go, it follows you. Mr. Dorn, you're right on. AI can never completely replace human efforts. That's just me. Just in case,
Yeah.
just use it as a helpful tool. Like I said, the tool that it is, it's a tool. Uh, how can you tell when? Now, like I said, it takes a very skilled. Most people don't get that, and I'm talking from a generative AI. There's all types of AI out there, Chat
Yeah.
GPT, or but it all stems from the prompt that you're giving it. And if you're
Yeah.
not good at explaining exactly what it is you want AI to spit out, it's going to take a lot. And the thing that it
Yeah.
spits out usually is no good. So you have to
Yeah.
be really good. And that's why, like I said, AI, you can pretty much pick out for the most part. Like I said, there's some AI that's good, that's really hard to tell that it's
Tell.
AI. But then most of it you can kind of tell it's AI. But those ones that are really good, if you look at the prompt, they're like paragraphs. They're not just, oh, just give me this. And it
Input,
spits
yeah.
out. They're really descriptive in what they want.
Yeah.
And that's why they got a great piece out of it. Now we could discuss the ethics of where that pulls, the artwork that it pulls and the styles that it pulls. That's a different thing. But I'm just saying AI is really based on the prompt that you give it. And if you're not good at being descriptive about the things that you're wanting, then you're going to be spending a lot of time trying to get something of use out of AI. That's just my thought. But there is a lot of great work out there. But like I said, I think most true creatives, they're not using it as the end all be all. It's just a piece in the thing that they're creating. AI is just a small piece in the overall project of what they're doing. And I think that's where the discourse or kind of the thing I don't like about it. There are some people that just take what AI spits out and then calls themselves an artist or calls themselves this or calls themselves that. And it's just, that's not the case. When it took some people years and lots of money to learn the skill of doing what it is that they're doing. And AI is just not going to be able to circumvent that. I don't care how much you put into it and get behind it. It's just not going to circumvent that. That's why I say your AI is just never going to take the place of a human. Miss Maggie, thank you. Yeah, so I hope that it kind of explains, like I said, trust me, there's all types of AI out there. Obviously, from the show and what we talk about, we're talking about AI in the sense of generative AI, creative AI that's used creatively. In effect, like I said, you got a lot of people that are using AI to write scripts. This whole script. And it's funny. I had one guest. He works he's an illustrator, works at Bond, Enrique. And he was telling me about they were looking for an artist, I guess to hire, or somebody applied and uploaded their portfolio, but all the pieces were AI. AI generated. So I'm like, you can't draw. So if they hired you,
what would you do?
Yeah,
AI.
what would you do? They don't use AI, so what are you applying for? It's not an AI position. So that's what I mean. You got a lot of people that are kind of trying to skip that learning. They feel like AI is going to skip that skill of learning something and mastering a principle or a skill or a design. Like I said, AI is not going to teach you squash and stretch. And so if you don't understand it, AI is not going to put it in there, Yeah. So that's my thought. But again, I'd like to kind of close out as we bring this kind of train into the station. Your overall thoughts of where the industry is going as a whole and as it pertains to Africa. How do you kind of see, like I said, the industry going? Because like I said, now we are starting to see a lot of stories start to come out, albeit they're kind of influenced, some of the studios over here like Disney are going over there. So you see that kind of Disney-esque, kind of touch to it or feel. But how do you see the industry even amongst all of that, going?
Yeah, like you said, based on the Iwaju and even the Iyanu series that will be coming out soon, I think globally now people are looking for stories that are different, and the next is African stories. So, like, okay, next stop Africa, let's go and see what they have there. So that's global. But now within Africa on its own, I think there has been a shift in the sense that over the years we've sort of looked for funding from outside. We're having the conversation earlier on, and now there is no more funding from outside. So now we are trying to see how we can do our own project by ourselves with whatever resources we can have, because it's really about trying to see how you can use what you have, not necessarily thinking too big or going way overboard. Okay, this is what I have. how can I collaborate more? So now we're seeing a lot of collaborations. Okay, you have a strong development team. I have an idea. Let's work together. Let's see how we can share our
Yeah,
resources. So more projects will be coming out from within the continent, precisely from Nigeria, because well, I'm based in Nigeria and I have some
yeah,
studio friends who are already doing that. So it's less of, oh, let's get funds from outside. Is more of let's collaborate and see how we can tell our stories, because with that you have more control for the
yeah,
kind of stories you want to tell. It will actually be your own story. No one, because whosoever has the most money has the most say. So
yeah,
so while you have some people still, maybe um have collaborations or international studios coming in for their stories, you still have some people who would want to hold on to their stories and produce it the way they see
yeah,
fit, no matter
yeah,
how small. But yeah,
yeah.
just to have that control.
No, I mean, like I said, I think that's the kind of the ultimate thing is developing kind of your own self sufficiency.
Yeah,
It's great to
exactly.
collaborate, but just
Mm-hmm.
knowing that you're on equal terms of what we can produce
Mm-hmm.
ourselves within our own
Exactly.
space is a big thing. Um, I also feel I don't know, you could probably speak a little more deeper on it, but I know over here, we got a lot of subsidies. The government, they see that it's obviously we know it's $1 billion industry. We reap the benefits of it, over here. That might be a slow moving thing with the government kind of, putting initiatives and things, really getting behind the industry to kind of support so that it can support itself. It's going to take a lot of, you know, support from, like I said, not just the government, but just other, you know, regions working together, collaborations, really bringing the industry under this one whole thing of, okay, this is the industry within Africa. Yeah, we're over here in Nigeria. We're telling different stories than you may be telling here in South Africa, but we're all still under this umbrella of we want to be self-sufficient in what we produce ourselves within this space type of thing. Do you think that's another big thing of having kind of the government kind of help kind of support and really put into it? Is that something that's changing you see, or really a thing that's going to be require a little more work, really getting
Yeah,
government officials behind?
yeah, definitely. I know some African countries already have that, like
Yeah,
South Africa has theirs,
yeah,
but Nigeria, all these years, we've not had any.
yeah,
Maybe we've had support from the French government, from the
yeah,
American government, but I think it's beginning to change now. We've started seeing interest from the Nigerian government, which is a good thing, but nothing yet. But they've started having conversations. Okay, we want to be involved and all that. So we're hoping we would actually see something out of it. But aside that, most studios have been either surviving through brands or service work with advertising agencies,
yeah,
one job here and there. We've been self-sufficient.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
But you're
we're
overall you're
hoping.
encouraged about the direction that it's going.
Yes.
Maybe not at the pace that you would like, but the direction that
Yeah.
it's kind of going overall.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. At least now they are beginning to have conversations, which shows that okay, we're moving, in
Yeah,
a new
yeah,
step, in a new direction. So
yeah. And my one last question is before I let you go: do you also see a research, or do you see yourself? Because I'm a big proponent of, if you learn something, or if you kind of get through the door,
yeah.
reach back to kind of bring somebody else. Do you also see like creators and directors that are starting to get, the exposure there, start to come back and start to really, like you said, bring in the experts to learn these skills that really will help you understand yourself, the production, so that, like you said, we don't have to depend so much on outside help. Do you see that other creators that, like I said, are starting to get in the spotlight, starting to ascend, start to come back and really teach the younger generation and show them that, hey, this is a viable direction that you can go in?
Yeah, I do, but I would say not as much as we would like.
Mm.
Just a few people are being very intentional about giving
Yeah,
back, about, because I don't know if it's an African thing, or there's this thing of nothing good comes easy. So I
yeah,
think that mentality sort of shapes how some people think, in the sense that, oh, I went through this path, it took me this long, you too have to go through this difficult part. Not necessarily, oh, okay, I've gone through this part, I found an easier way, so come and, so it's still something people have to work on
yeah,
themselves to help the younger generations, because now you've it took you a longer time to get to where you are. You've made some mistakes, so you need to also show other people not to make the same mistakes, just so that they can
yeah,
also get to, but not everybody is doing that. Hopefully more people would see that and start. But
yeah,
there are a few people who are really intentional about, okay, I need to help this younger
yeah,
generation. It doesn't have to be as difficult as it was for us,
yeah.
so yeah.
No, I totally agree. It's an intentional thing that you have to do because, like I said, we
Yeah,
think about it here. Like I said, we go through here. Any person, especially person of color that makes it, in the sports or in the entertainment, they end up moving away. So the neighborhood, they don't come back to the neighborhood to build up the neighborhood or put things in place because other kids are going through the same thing. They just happen to
yeah,
find an avenue to get out or to expand. I won't say get out, but just expand their knowledge of what they
yeah,
see. And I give him all the props. He's a native. I'm from Ohio. LeBron James, he's from Ohio, native Ohioan, billionaire. He came back to his city and put in schools and things. He may not live there, or, reside there, but he gives back to the city that he was born in, that he saw, that he sees the challenges that we all go through or that even he went through. So those are the type, like you said, it takes an intentional person to want to
yeah,
do that and to come back and do that. And that's what I hope to inspire. And that's what I try and do. Like I said, with everything that I do with the show is to give back and really be intentional. Like I said, I would love to go back to my school and speak and, just the neighborhood and really be able to be in a position to, like I said, help that kid that you see looks like you running down the street that you would, love to done.
exactly.
So like I said, I hope if nothing else, people kind of get that and kind of start to pick it up. I know a lot of creators doing that. Like I said, Wayne Carnegie, he's a great animator and illustrator from Jamaica. He does a lot of stuff with teaching, and really looks to go back to his native Jamaica to really uplift the industry. So there's a lot. I think it's like you said, it's an intentional thing that you as a person has to do. Um, and I hope to see more of it. I love to see more of it. And I was just curious, is that something that you see other creators start to do that, like I said, are getting these chances, like directing Kazazimoto and all these things that are really getting national or worldwide attention, and the spotlight is on them, actually bringing in and really using it to help, uh, not just where they're from, whether it be Lagos or South Africa, but the continent as a whole, because
That is one.
you know all a rising tide lifts up all boats, for
Yeah.
sure. My thoughts. I'm just getting a little my thoughts, but again, like I said, this has, as we bring in this episode, you dropped a lot of great nuggets, Omoyefe, which I knew you would, which is why I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Definitely, everybody, I hope you got some value from the show. Again, thank you so much for sticking with me, you, the viewers. Omoyefe, for coming out and, like I said, helping us close out this last episode here, for sure. Definitely make sure that you connect with Omoyefe. Check out more of what she's doing. Check out more of Blac Onyx Studios, and really reach out. Like I said, you can check her out on Instagram. She's also available on LinkedIn, which is where we connected. But I do also highly, like I said, encourage you to connect with her, and just like I said, support whatever it is that she's doing. I can't thank you enough. All this will be in the show notes for sure, so make sure that you hop on over to the show notes and pick up all that information. But again, can't wait to have you back on again. On your next venture out, like I said, I know you got some stuff working in the pipelines there that I'm not gonna prod you to tell. We'll just bring you back when they do come out, unless there is something that you do want to, like I said, want to promote that you got coming up. That's what the show is about. Coming on, really highlighting and sharing what the things that you're working on that we need to know about for sure. So I cannot wait to have you back on the show, Omoyefe.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. It's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. If you could hang, like I said, we are an hour and a half in. And like I said, it is kind of late over there in Lagos. But if you could hang out for just a minute, while I close out the show, so I can talk to you afterwards.
Okay.
But everybody, please, please, please help me thank Omoyefe Majoroh for coming on again. Hang out for a second. Guys, and gals, man, thank you for hanging with me this last episode of the year. Like I said, 2024, getting ready to kick off this last hiatus. And like I said, I am in the middle of these plans, these big plans, and just revamp of the, well, not total revamp, but a lot of new stuff's coming in 2025. So I'm deep in the middle of all this stuff now. Got a newsletter coming out, not new, well, yeah, brand new, because they hadn't done a newsletter before, but I got a newsletter for the Color of Motion coming out, got the audio podcast coming out of just the show, so we'll be available on Spotify, Apple, and all those audio platforms, so you'll just be, if you want to listen to it on the go, will be, you'll be able to check out the Color of Motion on the go. Like I said, super excited about getting bigger and better guests, new sponsors. So we're just leveling up in 2025 and can't thank you enough for always sticking with the show and supporting it. Can't thank my guests and friends enough for coming on as always and supporting the show. So just be on the lookout for all the new stuff coming. And I can't say see you next week because we won't be here next week. We'll be on hiatus, but I will be doing some replays. So I'm not going to totally cut you off from the Color of Motion. Definitely want to give you your fix. But with all of that, thank you, and have a great rest of your Saturday and a great rest of the weekend. I will see, and I think a great holiday. Yeah, Thanksgiving's next week. You can see I'm losing track of the days. But have a great holiday, and I will see you soon. Cheers, everybody.